I have been on a journey to be someone. And along the way, I learned the secrets. It's your friends, the people you choose to spend time with. My life, health, and wealth have been changed forever by the people around me. And now it's time for you to meet my friends. This is the Be Someone podcast with Michael Hong. Welcome back to the Be Someone podcast with Michael Hong. Today I have my friend Gordon here, Gordon Charon. Yeah, I love it. For those of you watching on YouTube, Gordon's a character, and Gordon and I know each other because we've been a part of the same mastermind. We have a lot of the similar friends, and I met him through another Houston investor here named Jeff Smith. And I was like, brother, we
Love
got to
Jeff.
get you on the process. We got to get you on the podcast, man. So,
Awesome.
Gordon, give us a little intro, brother.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on, Michael. I totally appreciate it. We have a mutual friend, Jeff Smith. Love Jeff. He's so awesome. Crushes. He's such a badass. So for me specifically, I can't kind of came into this in a super weird way. So I'm from like honestly, I had a huge music and acting background. That's where I toured for like 16 years with a rock band as a musical director. I produced records for a long time. That whole world was my scene. I lived in LA for 12 years, but even before I did that, I was a licensed real estate agent. So I was selling real estate just traditionally for about a decade. And you're probably like, when did you start all this? Were you 4 years old when you started all this? Because you look so darn young. um, yeah, no, man. I've been around the block. I've been around for a minute, and so I kind of came into this whole world by completely by mistake. And what happened was, is I was living in LA doing the whole like music and acting thing, just working away, and then our lives all changed with COVID, right? And all of a sudden things started shutting down, and lo and behold, we couldn't go to work anymore. We couldn't go out. We were locked in our houses, and then it's pretty hard to shoot a TV series when you can't leave your house. And so, SAG, went on strike. And once that happened, that's when I was sitting in my Hollywood apartment and looking out the window and going, am I going to be homeless? Dang. It was a crazy reality moment for me, man, where I was like, okay, I cannot earn an income. What can I do? And so that's when I started to think back of what did I used to do. And I'm like, well, I used to be a real estate agent and I know how to sell real estate. I'm damn good at it. Why don't I just get licensed in California? And I literally called a friend of mine who was an agent, and I said, "Hey, what's it like getting licensed? How do I go through the process?" And she was like, "It's really easy, and here are all the resources." So I was actually about to get my real estate license in California, and then I don't know if it's AI or Google's listening or someone's always listening, man. I was sort of walking through this process. Maybe I was Googling certain things, but I was just on YouTube, surfing around, and Pace Morby pops up. I'm like, who's this Pace Morby guy? And it was on the cold coffee hour with Graham Steff. I think Graham Steffens, is that his name?
Yeah, the iced
I
coffee
believe
hour with Grand Stefan.
iced coffee hour. And I saw the thumbnail is something like under 35 and $350 million of real estate. And I was like, whoa, dude, I want to know what that is. Like, is this even real? So I click on it, and it's a 3-hour video. And so, I mean, I was captivated from the very first minute. And I was trying to figure out, and it's funny, I told Pace the story too. I thought it was hilarious, but I was like, by the end of the video, I was super inspired and super skeptical all at the same time. And so I was under the impression, like, I'm not getting duped, right? No one's pulling the wool over my eyes. So I'm like, is this a scam? If it's a scam, I'm going to figure it out. So I bought his book. He was launching his book. I guess that's why he was on the podcast. He was launching his book. I bought it, got it immediately on Amazon, read it in a day, went through every single reference in that book, and I reached out to the people in that book. Either I DM'd them or I called them or I stalked them somehow, even down to Eileen Brown at American Title. I called her. She was amazing, by the way. I spoke to her for like 45 minutes. And I'm like, the back of my head, I'm like, is Pace Morby a scam or is it absolutely legit? So by the end of it, when I was done going through and reaching out to all the people, I discovered it was not only was it super legit, it was this incredible community of these amazing people that were all synergistically working together to help one another and do these very either creative sub two style deals or even traditional deals or cash deals or burr, or it was like every method you could think of, right? Foreclosures, probate, novations. And I was blown away at how much actually was jam packed into this one community. And so that got me really inspired. But Michael, I'm sitting there, I don't got any money. I was broke. Like I'm like, how do I make money now immediately? So I didn't have the luxury of just swiping the credit card and hopping into sub two and start learning this stuff. My only option was YouTube videos. So I was literally watching, I consumed as much sub two Pace Morby content as I possibly could. And I kept thinking back, well, how can I relate this back to my life? Like what is what are the common components to what I already know or what I can arbitrage or what I can learn and put that into motion as fast as possible. And so what I discovered was because I was a licensed agent previously, I'm like, I can easily talk to agents. That is not a problem. So I have no issue closing deals. I've already done a million deals. I know how to write contracts. I know how to do all that stuff. I just need to learn the parameters. So how do I learn the parameters and how do I meet some like-minded individuals that want or either want me to JV with them or want help, want leads, want whatever, right? So I just went and did. It's so funny because Pace always says in his videos, like JV with my community, like reach out to people, join the Facebook group, get an LLC, get a bank. I literally took that as gospel and did every single one of those things. So I was in the free Facebook group. I just so happened to see a post by Tyler Townsley, one of the Bash Bros, Eddie Marin, Tyler Townsley, amazing, amazing guys. Um, I saw a post, and his post was how to get, or no, I think it was my unfiltered, raw perspective on joining Sub 2. It was something like that. And it was a Zoom. So I was like, amazing. I click the link. It's like in a couple of days later, I hop on the Zoom and it was like a Zoom full of like, I don't know, 30 people. Tyler tells his story, how he got involved. And the only thing I could think of the entire time was how do I pitch Tyler to work with me? Like, I'm like, I need a yes, right? I don't care how I get there. I just got to work with Tyler so I can get a deal done. And so at the end of the Zoom, I took down his number. I called him and said, "Yo, dude, um, this is my background. This is what I'm trying to do. If I could bring a warm lead to you, will you JV with me? And can we, do it together and make some money?" And he was like, "Hell yeah, bro. Of course. Just here's what I want. This is what I'm looking for. If you can find it, great." Well, I got my first deal in the first 7 days of calling. I literally went on a prop stream. I downloaded the list, the exact filters that he asked me for. I kept on just sending leads and leads and leads and leads until I'm talking like I printed out a piece of paper. I had my cell phone. This is what I started with: a cell phone and a piece of paper. That's it. And I just went through, like, nothing fancy. And I just went through and I called and called and took notes and just kept on doing that. Sent the first lead that actually stuck, and the agent literally would not return my call. She was, I mean, you guys are probably watching this right now are thinking, oh my God, tell me this is the bane of my existence, right? So this agent had a good call, built a bunch of rapport, figured out the situation, and then nothing, crickets. So I'm hitting her up nonstop trying to figure this out. I'm desperate, right? Finally get her on the phone, and she's like, okay, I'll talk to your partner and we'll get this done. So I pass it off to Tyler. Tyler can't get a hold of her. Eddie Eddie can't get a hold of her. I mean, this went back and forth. This is just to illustrate how difficult it is, right? finally I get back and start doing a group message until Eddie finally gets a hold of her. And then now he's working it out. And now he's, we're figuring out the deal. And then all of a sudden he calls me back and he's like, bro, this isn't gonna work because they want too much. We can't get them that the amount of cash they want. I don't think this is gonna be a deal. A week later, he calls me back. He goes, dude, we're under contract. We figured it out. I was like, no way. And like my mind is blown because I go from watching a video to doing all the things that Pace is saying, reaching out to the community. I'm not even in sub two, and I'm getting the time of day. Like that was incredible for me. And the real moment where my life changed was when that bank wire hit my account. When that bank wire came through and real dollars and cents came into my bank account, it was like my brain activity had completely changed. It was rewired. Now I was like, okay, not only is this incredibly real, how do I do 100 of these back to back? So what happened was, um, in that deal, Eddie and Tyler, they closed on it, and it was a 2.2% interest rate. It was just outside of Houston. I can't remember the county, but I think it was like south of Houston. Dickerson County, Dixon County, something like this. Anyway, so that was the very, very first deal I did. So at that point, they were like, dude, bring us more. So I just kept hitting the phones. I no VA, me. I was cold calling. I didn't have a script, I didn't have anything. I was just cold calling, doing all the stuff that Pace is saying, bringing value. And then it was like second deal, third deal, fourth deal, sixth deal, eight deals. And then at that point, Tyler's like, bro, what are you living in LA for? Get the heck out of there and come to Arizona. And I'm like, dude, I love LA. Da, 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 I'm doing this thing. He's like, just come out here for a weekend. So top of the year last year, I rolled out to Scottsdale. Incredible. I was like, I love Scottsdale. It's clean. There's just nice people. Everyone's like super, polite. It's nice and hot. Perfect climate for me. And so I moved. I ended up moving to Scottsdale to just do more business with the bros, right? So what
Gordon,
happened was is
Gordon, that is amazing, brother. So you went to search for you originally started searching for a hole. You went and started searching for the 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 scam that you thought it was that you heard about on YouTube. You were in disbelief. So you didn't start your
Yep,
journey on a journey of belief, you started on disbelief. And then
yeah,
that changed to a journey of belief. And
100%.
there's some fundamental beliefs that I have that I let guide when I'm making decisions in real estate. For example, interest rates are low. That's my belief because I live in a world where people get 2 point whatever percent interest rate that you just said. What was it again?
2.23. Yeah.
2.23% interest rate in 2024 and in 2025. Interest rates are low. Another belief, real estate is cheap because
Yeah.
most people won't believe that you can buy houses for 30, 40, 50, 60 cents on the dollar. But I do it. I'm living in a house now that I
Yeah.
bought at a very, very low percentage of market value, very cheap, 50 cents on the dollar
100%.
house in the suburbs of Houston. So it's
100%.
all about
100%.
adjusting that your worldview and your belief system. Interest rates are
100%.
cheap, real estate is plentiful, and you adjusted your belief system. But I like that you went on that journey and then you discovered that this is real and that you can do it. And you
Yep.
didn't even have to pay to get into a mastermind or mentorship. You mentioned
No.
Pace's book. I actually have it here. I grabbed it off the shelf while you were talking. For those of you on
Yeah.
YouTube, not on YouTube, I'm holding it
Yeah.
up. Wealth Without Cash. That was the book that Pace Morby was launching at the time.
That's the
I
book, man.
actually
That's the
I
book.
actually got it
Yeah.
signed by him when it was launched.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's awesome, bro.
and
Um, I got a crazy story about that book, man. So
go
check
ahead.
this out. So when I bought the book, there's a QR code in the back that you can scan to join. It was a Pace Morby 10-week boot camp with Bigger Pockets. It was a collaboration with Bigger Pockets. So I think I paid $225 or something, or 250 to join the boot camp. So in the boot camp, I that was right when super everything was super new to me. I got the first deal with Tyler and Eddie, and so I was super excited, and I had the chance. I raised my hand one day near the end of that boot camp, and Pace, selected me. I came up and I spoke, and I was just so pumped. And he was excited for me. He's like, "Hey man, that's really great. I'm glad to see you got your first deal under contract." Well, as soon as I got off of the Zoom with him, I got a call from one of the other participants, and so Jessica Hughes, who called me, was like, "Oh my God, like I love your energy, and I know I think that we could do something together and figure something out. I want you to meet my son Colin." Well, that was like the beginning. I was just in the beginning, first deal, right? Well, let's fast forward to almost 2 years later. Her son Colin is on my team, and he has 6 deals closed and funded. Her son, right? From that bigger pockets boot camp. And I finally got to meet them. Colin came out here last month and to meet up with us. And then I was just over at Squad Up, and I met Jessica for the first time, his mom. Um, Amazing people, super, super cool. And it's just so interesting, to me, how you can change your entire life with a belief system, believing in yourself. I think this story that I'm trying to illustrate is really about self-realization and grit and digging your heels in and really doing something that you believe in, because if you believe in it, it will become true if you're taking actionable steps. Like, you can't just meditate all day in a room by yourself. You got to reach out to people. You have to make connections and do the thing, do the next right thing. And so not only did that happen, after my 12th deal closed, it was another one of those moments where it was like, it just happened, where Darren, Darren Prasad from New Reach. So
That's right.
Darren, so when I moved to Scottsdale, not only did I start doing more business with Tyler and Eddie, they invited me into their office, and they said, "Hey, set up shop in here. We would love to have you, and just
Hold on, Gordon,
temporarily, if
Gordon,
you,
Gordon,
yeah,
Gordon, brother. We got to highlight the big one, the big wins here. We got to dive a little deeper into it, my man.
okay,
The
okay,
big,
all
the
right."
big wins was someone with no experience going to a $250 boot camp and getting 6 deals. That is amazing.
Yeah, man. So exactly like that. It's all connected, right? All of this stuff is super connected. So I met Jessica in the boot camp. She introduced me to her son, who had never done a deal. He had joined Sub Two at the same time with her, and I wasn't in Sub Two yet. And anyway, we connected together, and I trained up her son, and then now he has 6 deals closed with us. On to his seventh. We have like 3 or 4 more coming from him. Like he's killing. He's a killer. Um,
And you are
it's
fired up,
incredible.
Gordon, and I love to hear it, brother. You are fired up
Yeah,
about this, man. So
yeah,
let's talk about the first deal you did and the numbers. So how'd you
yeah.
find it?
So I literally just went on PropStream, and I took the list that not list, but the filter set that Tyler said he was looking for, that they were looking to buy. And he just said, "Look, it's got to be a 3-2. It needs to be, in this type of a major market or very close to. It needs to be an under 5% rate, da, 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 da," and just gave me the whole thing, right? I just took that filter, and it's funny, actually. I was using Privy at the time. I wasn't even using PropStream. And then Tyler's like, "Stop using that." And he didn't say stop using it. He's like, "We don't use Privy, use PropStream." And the main reason, and I love Privy's great, but the reason I switched was only because PropStream has actual mortgage data that's fairly accurate. It's not always accurate, but it's fairly accurate. Even down to, as the loans are being paid down, you get that updated amount, the remaining balance, and it's usually within a couple $100, to be honest. And I still use it today. It's great. So anyway, he gave me his sort of filter set and said, go to town. So I really, I took it upon myself to do all the research and to figure out how everything worked. One thing I didn't want to do was waste anyone's time. I didn't want to ask too many questions. And it wasn't because I was embarrassed or anything. I wanted to keep my relationship really strong and the value proposition really strong. Because what does Pace always say? He always says lead with value, bring value. So even though I didn't have money to give, I didn't have anything to teach anyone at that time. I didn't have anything I could physically give them for value except for bringing them an opportunity. So I wasn't trying to take from them. I didn't want to take their time and their energy. I wanted to just lead with value and give an opportunity that was viable that they wanted. Right. So that was my approach. The property was a 3-2. It was in, yeah, I think it was Dickerson, Texas. It was a sub two. It was a low interest rate, 3.32 or a 3.25, something like that. It was really low. It was in the mid twos or low twos. Um, and that was essentially it, right? And their exit on it, like I wasn't buying that. I was just doing lead gen specifically I just needed cash. Like, how do I get money in my bank account today? And that was lead gen to a deal that they wanted to buy. So they ended up closing on it. They got a PML that came in, funded the deal. And their exit was originally going to be a wrap. And then when the wrap thing didn't pan out for them, because wraps are very complicated, and I don't suggest anyone jump in head first until they really understand how to use that model. And they'll even tell you the same thing. So Eddie and Tyler, I think they had 4 to 6 wraps at one point, and then they said, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, we're bleeding cash. Like you got to have your exit set up." And then I think by now they've either sold them or have wrapped them themselves successfully, so they're fine. What they were going to do was they're going to wrap it. And so when 4 months went by and the holding costs were, they're starting to feel it, they ended up switching to an LTR. And then the good news was because of that interest rate, that LTR was totally viable and it's a cash flowing property. So what else happens? Well, we all know that we get the cash flow today, but what do we get in the future? We get appreciation. So they've got this ultra low debt and it's got appreciation year over year. And as that cash flow slowly increases on that LTR, so will that appreciation. So in 5 to 10 years, it's going to be a monster asset for them, right? And it's going to put a couple of bucks in their jeans. So that was the very first deal that I had done with them.
Yeah, so we're going to break it down. You talked about a lot of stuff that I just want to clarify for the audience and who's listening is new. You talked about an LTR. An LTR,
Mhm.
just a rental. It's a
Long,
long-term rental,
yeah,
right? Yep.
long-term rental.
Yeah,
Yeah,
easy
yep,
peasy. And then we talked about
yep,
wrap. So wrap is where you buy a property subject to, and then you find another buyer and you wrap a new mortgage around the existing mortgage and
yep,
sell it to that new end buyer.
yeah.
Wraps are not a place for newbies to start, depending on what state you're in.
No,
I'm in Texas, but depending on what state you're in, you need to check with your local rules, and you need to work with an attorney,
yep,
a lending officer to underwrite the end buyer, and a transaction
yep,
coordinator who understands these transactions.
yep.
Every state's different, and we have some pretty tough rules about wraps here in Texas.
RMLOs. You got to have your RMLOs. You got to use an attorney that's qualified. I think Alan Keshker, I spoke to him a couple days ago over email. Awesome guy. They really know what they're doing over there at Keshker. So anyone's interested. But yeah, it's a strategy for somebody that has been around for a minute. Like honestly, I'm getting into wraps now because I feel super confident in what I'm doing and how to like I can put deals together in my sleep. I'm at that point now on anything on market. Um, Sub twos, we're crushing those. Like we're doing those. We're doing like 5 to 7 a month consistently. It's been really, really great. And so, yes, that's a strategy for somebody more
Wow,
developed.
you're doing
Absolutely.
5 to 7 deals a month consistently right now, and they're
Yeah,
all subject to, and you're
all of
going
them.
all direct to agent. And so
100%.
for the listeners, direct to agent means that there are two places we find deals: on market and off market. When you market directly to an agent, that means a property is listed on the MLS, it's for sale with an agent. Off market is there's no agent, no one knows about the deal. You have to go find them yourself. And so when I'm talking to new people and they ask me, well, what should I do? I want to let them know that it all works.
Mhm.
Everything
Oh
works.
yeah,
You just have to pick your strategy and stick with it. Houses work,
100%.
land works, RV
Yeah,
parks work, multifamily works, direct to seller,
yeah,
direct to agent, being an agent. It all
yeah.
works if you do.
Yeah. It's the
However,
same as a diet. It's the exact same as a diet. What was like, oh, what's the perfect diet? I want to get in shape. I want to work out. I want to. It's like, do I do Atkins or low carb, high carb, 6 meals a day? Well, everything works. You just have to commit to that one thing. They all work.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I tell newbies that it's more important that you choose rather than what you choose. And you chose
Yeah.
direct to agent, talking to listed properties with distressed sellers, bringing unique
Yeah.
solutions that most agents, let's be honest, don't know about. They don't. I'm a licensed agent. They don't teach you a whole heck of a lot whenever you get licensed. And agents don't understand the many options they have for their client. So you're
Yeah.
going direct to sell, direct to agent to buy
Yeah.
your properties. Um, how did you exit? You wholesaled your first deal direct to agent? You wholesaled it to an end buyer?
I've been wholesaling this entire time.
Okay.
It's like it is for us right now. So there's a lot to the story that's missing right now, which I can just sort of sum up. So after my first 12 deals, I finally joined Sub 2. I met Pace in person. I told him the whole story. He loved it and was like, "Oh man, we should have got that on camera." Blah blah blah. And I was like, "Hey, bro, like before we leave, um, why should I join Sub 2? Like, what's the reason? Like, you don't need my money, obviously." And he said, this is the reason I joined Sub 2. He said, "Look, you've already done 12 deals. If your desire is to do more deals with more like-minded people and you want to be in a network of those people, that's the only reason you should join Sub 2." And I was like, here's my 10 grand.
Yeah.
I literally joined that same evening or next day or something like that. Darren set me up.
Yeah, so
Shout out to
the
Darren.
moral
He's
of that
awesome.
story was, and I've met Pace several times too. He's a great guy. I can't
Yeah.
thank him enough for what he's done
Yeah.
for me.
Of course.
But the moral of that story is community, because when I first got started, I didn't have a community, and I had to go out and find one here in Houston. And for everybody
Mm.
listening, there are communities all around you. Go onto your Facebook and type in whatever city you live in and real estate investing group. Tons
Yeah.
of groups around you. Go to meetup.com, find local meetups around you. They're free in-person groups. There's RIAs. Every major city has a RIA for sure. Go to your
Yeah.
RIAs and find community, get around people that are actually doing deals, that are actually making money, and just observe and talk to them and figure out what works best for you. And so the real message there was community, which I love.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so do you know your numbers on this? Like how many calls to an agent does it typically take to get a deal? Do you know
Yeah.
what your average
Yeah.
wholesale fee is for deals? Let's talk about your
Yep.
KPIs or your key performance
Yeah.
indicators.
So I don't know all of them, but I can sort of guess. I definitely know how many calls it takes because I was writing down all the calls on paper and I calculated. So for me, the average was 60 calls equal to deal. And now it's a way different metric because now I have a full team. So I'll just fill in those blanks. So after I joined Sub 2, I partnered with Shad Najumi. A lot of you guys know him. Shad is REI Conveyor Belt. He's like the integrator, the conveyor belt guy. He has the Zooms on Wednesday, the cold calling connection, so you can find him there. I partnered with Shad. Him and I put a partnership together. And basically, Shad had said to me, he approached me. He said, "Dude, you're a solo operator doing that kind of volume on your own. Why don't we put our magic together?" And you don't need to pull lists. You don't need to pull, no data, no cold calling. We'll put a team in place. All you should do is close deals because you're a closer. And he's like, closers are really hard to find. Everyone says they're a closer, but no one's really a closer. He's like, I can see it. Proof's in the pudding. Let's partner. And I was like, hell yeah, bro. So we ended up doing that. And so now that takes us to your next question is I trained everybody on my team. I, spent a lot of time with, those, those initial phone calls are gold, right? And I know that people get frustrated quite a bit. One of my initial conversations with Pace was, well, how do I get past you're the 25th person calling me, right? How do I get past that? And now I lean into that. It's perspective, right? So those initial calls are so crucial to get the right information out to that agent and at least get them to understand what it is that you're trying to accomplish and how you can help their seller, right? And once that conversation happens, I hop on, I close, and then we get the deal under contract. So your question was about KPIs, like, so 60 calls originally for me, 60 cold calls equaled a contract. And so I just kept on doing that. That's how I got to 12 deals on my own. So Tyler and Eddie helped me with the first
So
two
60
deals.
calls, let me jump in here. So 60 calls equal one contract. And
Yep.
then what's your typical assignment fee on those?
So typical assignment would probably be anywhere from eight to $15,000, depending on the deal. And now I've got really great dispo partner relationships. And my main dispo partner, Dom and Glazy from Gorilla Investments. That's Dom, Michael, and Nick. Again, they're guys in the community. You can look them up, find them. So now what I do is I'm backwards engineering, and it's so funny. Pace mentioned this from day one. It backwards engineer what you're trying to do. Like if you're trying to wholesale, go find all your buyers first. Like so now Dom and I we have long conversations about who are your highest and best buyers? What are they looking for? Are they looking for seller finance, sub two, cash, fix and flip? What do they want? So we now have these very unique buy boxes, and then we build out our marketing towards those territories. And then those deals, when they're under contract, they're already sold, right? So that's our methodology, and I think it's a fantastic one. Again, Pace mentioned it from the beginning, and it wasn't until like a year and a half later I was like, oh yeah, that really works.
That
So
that's amazing, brother. You are crushing it. That's amazing, brother. So 60 calls, 8 to 15K assignment fees, right?
yep. Mhm.
And you've got the deal sold before you lock them up. For me, the most anxious thing, the most anxiety riddling part of the deal is I put it under contract. Where's my end buyer? I don't get paid if this deal doesn't close, right? So you form the relationships to make sure deals close if they're good deals, right?
100%. 100%. So we backwards, what my company does, we backwards engineer everything, right? So we have to know what our target is. It's just like when you're shooting a gun or you're a bow and arrow, you need to see the target. And so this is what I train my entire team to do is if you can't see the target, you shouldn't be calling anybody. You need to know that end spot in order to get there. So what I do is I lay out for my team, all of those parameters that they have to hit, right? Because if they hit their target, I can go hit my target. And then that's how we can get those deals dispoed with our dispo partners and really feed that buy box and keep that machine running over and over and over again. And that's where we find success.
Awesome. And so how many deals did you do where you're the guy on the phone making the 60 calls to lock up a deal? How many did you do like that?
My first 12 deals were all of that solo operator. And so what I discovered is actually something opposite to what you hear a lot of times in these different communities is that I've always heard more dials equal to more money. Well, in my perspective, from the way that my strategy works, that's totally not true. My strategy was quite the opposite. It's less dials, higher quality calls, right? I want to spend time on the call with that agent to really a couple of things. I want to train them, number one, onto what I'm saying and the method that I'm presenting them to make them more money, right? I dangle the carrot. If you're an agent, you love me because all I'm doing constantly is I'm telling them how to make them more money, how this deal is going to close, how if they work with me, they're not going to lose the listing. They're not going to have any other issues. It's not going to die on market. They're going to make money. Their sellers can get out of a bad situation, and then we can wash, rinse, and repeat and do more, right? So that was my methodology the entire time is incentivize the agent because the agent is guess what? The gatekeeper. You don't treat that agent with respect. They're not opening that door for you. So that was the whole thought process every time. So I went lower on the call volume, but I went higher on the uh, call quality. So for me to hit 60 calls may have taken a lot longer, but then that's when I would hit those KPIs and I would get deal after deal after deal after deal.
Brother, I love that. I know there's someone listening to this that needed to hear that. Someone who's cold calling right now. It is not about the number of calls, rather the quality of those calls, and
Yeah.
that's why your KPIs look so good. So you did
Mhm.
12 deals, was it, in this method yourself, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you did 12 deals this way, and then
Mhm.
you kind of changed your model a little bit. So tell us what
Yeah.
it looks like, what your business looks like today with the direct to
Yes.
seller,
Yeah.
direct to
So
agent.
I
Sorry.
I partnered with Shad, and basically he's the integrator in our partnership. He does all the data. So what I do is I just give him the filter set, right? He pulls all the data, positions it in my CRM, lays it all out, tags it all. I then have a team of around 8 to 10 people. And from that team, they all get my script, right? And so one of the things that Shad had mentioned to me when we first, joined forces, he said, "Hey man, I need a script from you." And I was like, "Hey man, I don't have a script." And he's like, "Well, you do have a script. You just don't know you have a script." He goes, "Go into your brain and write out every single thing that you say and walk me through that call." So that's exactly what I did. We did the script, gave it to him, we deployed it on our team, and everybody was getting success, right? Because there's so many small nuances that you have to nail. And if you don't do those things correctly, the agents will lose confidence and they'll hang up the phone, because those agents get inundated. They get called 50, 60 times a day with people pitching sub two. And they're just like, "Oh my God, not you again." So one of my strategies, and this is a little freebie I can hand out to everybody, is the one of the okay, so you have to have confidence, number one. So know what you're talking about. Like, look at the listing just briefly, familiarize yourself with what it is you're looking at, right? Look at that debt position. Take 2 minutes, not 8 hours. Don't fall in love, just 2 minutes. Look at what the numbers are briefly. Know that this is something you can go after. Start asking questions about the property, right? Get very specific, but you have to have confidence. You absolutely must have confidence. This is the nugget. So if you're like writing this down right now, the biggest nugget in this whole equation: separate yourself. Separate yourself from everybody else that's in the crowd. And that is so understated, but I'm telling you, it's the thing that's going to get your deal done. Separate yourself from the crowd. This is why you should be going with our team, our company, our way of doing these transactions, because we actually get deals done. Here is a list of closed deals. Here's a bunch of my title companies that we use. Call them, vet me, right? Here's a bunch of agents I've already worked with. Call them, vet me. This is the process. Separate yourself from the crowd. It will be wonders in your business.
And if somebody's just getting started, how would they build that credibility if this is their first or second deal?
100%. So what I would suggest is, if you're new and you're kind of unsure, but you got this, "I want to do this more than I can breathe" thing, kind of how where I was when I was at the very beginning, go to jvwithgordon.com, go and fill out the form. There's a video you can watch on how to fill out the form. Fill out the form. It goes to my team. They'll bring it over to me. If it's a deal, we'll call them, lock it up, and we'll partner on it and make you some money. Really simple.
Man, I love that. You're solving the problem that I was always most concerned with when I got started, which is
I
when
know.
I
Me
find
too.
this deal, who's gonna buy it? In this case, you can go to Gordon's website. Give me that website again.
jvwithgordon.com.
There you go. There's your buyer. Everyone's got a buyer. If it's a good deal, you've got a buyer right there. That is
Uh,
awesome.
Absolutely. So I think, the biggest thing for me was honestly just that separation. And once you can do that with confidence, and you can give those, if you don't have title companies, you can't have the conversation. Guess what? If you go, "Oh, well, I'm new. I don't know any title companies." I do. You can use our relationship. You can leverage me because I have those relationships, right? So you're not lying if you say "my partner, my team," because we're partners. If you send me an opportunity and we're working on it together, you're leveraging my relationships. Totally fine.
Dude, that is awesome. Thank you for that. And you well, I'll put it in the end of the show again when we ask what you can give the audience. On every episode we ask what you can give the audience in every show, but you're going to give away scripts and you're going to let people get into your website where they can JV with you if
Mhm.
they need help finding an end buyer. That is awesome. And so how many VAs do you guys have now?
Oh my God. I think there's probably like 60 VAs, to be honest. I mean, that's the entire company, also with Shad's other side, which is all like AI driven. So he does a ton of AI, and we're gonna be rolling out a bunch of really cool features to help people get more deals quicker. But in our immediate team of cold callers, we have a mixture of some VAs and some sub two students. Essentially, if you want to get on my team and you're like, "Oh my God, I want to work with this guy, I want to figure it out," the fastest way to get there is, there's two ways. Number one, you can join No Excuses. You could probably just Google that, like No Excuses. If you're in sub two, you can go to the Wednesday Zoom, figure that out. Um, Or you can find an opportunity like what I did, find an opportunity and go to jvwithgordon.com, fill out the form. If I get that and that's a viable, real opportunity, then we're going to do business together. And then we can do deal after deal after deal. And then if that all makes sense, then you can just join my team. Right. But I'm really guarded with my time and with the people because I only want to have killers on my team. Right. And why I say that is because there's nobody wants to spend hours and hours and hours trying to figure stuff out. I want as many deals, I want as many viable, real opportunities so I can go and position those for all of our buyers, right? It's just simple math. So,
That is awesome. So you guys have 60 VAs total in your company right now.
mhm, mhm.
Um, and you
Oh,
guys are
callers, 8 to 10 callers
eight to
of
10
just lead
callers.
gen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for everybody listening, a VA is a virtual assistant. It's typically someone overseas that you hire. We call them VAs. And if you're not hiring a VA, you should be. There are very low value tasks in your life that you should be handing off to a VA so you could focus on the revenue generating activities. Put revenue in first position. Everything else you either partner out for or you hire a VA to do. And it seems like you figured that system out really early on.
Mhm.
And so you guys are still doing direct to agent, right?
Absolutely. And let me just give one real quick quick tip on VAs. So VAs are really great, but they need training. So if you want to deploy that methodology, you got to make sure that they're trained correctly with that script in mind. And originally I was like really against accents, right? And it's not to disparage anybody, but it's harder to have somebody with an accent help get that lead warmed up. But however, I was totally wrong. It's really the intelligence level. If you have a really smart VA that understands and picks it up, they will work like incredibly hard to put those deals in front of you. And the beauty of that is they're on $1 an hour pay scale, where when you do deals, you're on an assignment fee pay scale. So you'll end up actually making more money that way if you can train them correctly.
Yeah. Also, I found that hiring VAs to contact agents is also less of an issue because the agents are more professional, they're trained, and they're going to
Yeah.
take people's call and talk to them. Whereas a homeowner, as soon as they hear an accent, they might be turned off about that. And so I think it's great using VAs with a direct to agent strategy like you and your team are using. And then have you guys bought any rentals? Or are you just wholesaling, keeping the cash flow moving?
Yeah, so actually, that's a great point. My next strategy, and we're actually looking at doing this right now. I am like full steam ahead on co-living. I want to do pad split and co-living, you know, I'm in Phoenix or Scottsdale, Arizona. It's a huge pad split market here. I mean, our last deal that we did, we assigned it, closed on it, funded last Friday, a week ago. My entry on that was 11,000. My entry, if I wanted to buy that, it was 11,000 cash to close at a 3.5% rate. And it is a monster deal, right? So we are now looking at those to start collecting them and becoming owners because again, my whole process was I'm in it for the long haul. How do I not screw this up? And the advice that I got really early on was walk, don't sprint. And it's the best advice because you can take your time to get there slowly, but if you over leverage yourself, now you're in real trouble, right? You can tank your entire business. You can be upside down really quick. And then what do you do? And don't ruin somebody else's money. Don't squander somebody else's cash, right? You're going to burn your relationships that way. Take a lot of care. If someone lends you money and you have a PML, pretend like that's your money. Don't squander that and be very careful because relationships are everything. That is everything in this business.
So, a couple things that Gordon went over here. He said PML, that means private money lender. And he talked about co living. The most popular co living platform is called Pad Split. So, this would be like imagine a situation where you bought a house with a bunch of bedrooms and you want to put a different person in every bedroom. Affordability is a big issue in America right now. A lot of our big cities, people can't afford to rent a 1 bedroom apartment. Co-living is really taking off in a lot of the major cities. Pad Split is leading that charge, and so Gordon and many other people, what they're trying to do is buy houses that fit that model. and they hand it over to a company like PadSplit, where they do all the marketing. They put people in there. They handle all the issues with the people that are living there, and they've got some really unique strategies on how to handle that. We won't go too deep on that today. Maybe we'll do an episode, Gordon, when you get a couple of those up and running. Come back and we'll do just a co-living episode, man. I
Oh
would love
yeah.
to do that. And but I love that you're transitioning from to being like a property owner. That's where a lot of the real wealth is made, letting property appreciate, letting the mortgage be paid down slowly by somebody else. And I also love what you said about really valuing your relationship with your private money lenders. If you are lucky enough to have people that trust you with their hard-earned capital, I like to always say, like, let's talk about the return of your capital before we talk about the return on your capital. A lot of people get hung up on what a lot of newbie lenders that I've run into, they're just like, I'm just trying to get the highest rate. How much can you give me the highest rate? And I tell them that's not how we do business. How we do business is I'm going to sit down and show you how you're going to get your money back. Because if somebody offers you a number that's too good to be true, guess what, brother? It always is. And so when I've lend, I'm not worried about my return of my on my capital. I'm worried about the return on my capital. So I love that you are really thinking about your private money lenders, and you take care of one private money lender, and then it's like they're bunnies. They just multiply, and then two, and then three, and then four, and then you got something for me. And so it's a snowball with the private money you got to work up there. So I love that, man. And we will definitely get you back on to talk about co-living once you build one or two of them, man. I would love to do that once you build that out. So
Yep.
I'm going to move to the last segment of the show here, and I do this same thing on every show. So a lot of people believe that they're they're on this course of life. So I like to imagine our path of life like a ship, and that ship is sailing, and a ship is big and slow and heavy, and you're rowing along, and it's hard to turn. But every entrepreneur and investor that I meet, um, they turn their ship to the course of being an entrepreneur or real estate investor. And usually what made them turn course was a book. And so I ask every guest in every episode either what book changed your course into real estate, or once you were in real estate, what book turned your course even more? What book do you have?
There's only one book that I can think of. It's called The One Thing by Gary Keller. It is
Bam.
phenomenal. It is phenomenal. And
And for
one
those
thing
of
I
you
will
watching
say,
on YouTube, I'm holding up right here. I have the same book, The One Thing by Gary Keller.
that's it, man.
So
I mean, yeah, the only thing I'll say, the only thing, do one thing. Do the one thing that makes everything else easy or unnecessary. That's the book.
that's the
It's a
book.
good book.
And like I said earlier, it all works. Pick one, stick with it. It all works if you do. Um, awesome, brother. And then next, we're big fans of the Go Giver here. I know Gordon loves the Go Giver. I do too. I've got the book on the shelf behind me. And we believe in a very, very simple system that we use to guide our life and our real estate journey. So if anybody listening to this, um, they should be reminded that when you were born as a child, your parents gave to you long before you were capable of giving back. And if you, and when you work 2 weeks or more for your job, is you have to wait for your paycheck. So most people work 2 weeks or more before they get paid. So they have to give before they can receive. So if you're holding firewood and you believe that you can look at the fireplace and say, give me warmth first, and then I'll give you this wood, it's going to be a very cold winter for you. So I ask every guest on every podcast, what can you give our audience today?
So amazing. I love that. And you're absolutely right, Michael. I would love to give my script. So the very script that my partner Shaw told me to bring out of my brain and write down, and that my entire team is having enormous success with, I'm going to give that to your audience for free. You can have it.
And where do they go to get that?
I can send it to you directly, or we can attach it somewhere, upload it, no problem.
Yeah. So would they DM you on Instagram? Now you can send that to my team and we'll put a link to it in the show notes. But also,
Yeah,
do they DM you on Instagram? Is it on your website?
sure.
What's
Yeah, you can DM me on Instagram. You can I believe in some of the YouTube videos I have. There's a downloadable link in there. You can grab it from either or. Yeah.
Awesome. Oh, and you have a YouTube. What's your YouTube, brother? I want to see more of your content.
Yeah. It's just my name, Gordon Saran, at Gordon Saran. And
Man,
it's just content. I mean, I just started it. It's brand new. And what I'm going to be filling up on there for people that are really interested in direct to agent, it's all going to be agent calls. It's me closing deals on market with agents, and there's like what seller finance, what sub two, the differences, how to pull a list. Like if you're going, man, I love what this guy's saying, like how do I do it? Well, there's a video right now that shows you top to bottom how to get the filters, go on prop stream, do the whole thing, and start calling. So all that content is there. So that's what I'm going to be using it for.
that's awesome. I didn't know you had a YouTube. I need to check that out. And then, what can our audience give you today?
Honestly, the only thing that I think would be great would be let's do some deals together, guys. You know what I mean? JVwithGordon.com. If you have an opportunity and you're like, I just want to get a deal done, go to JVwithGordon.com. There's a video, watch the video, fill out that form, get that information over to me, and I'll help make you some money.
And what was your Instagram, brother?
At I am Gordon Saran.
Man, you got all the good handles. Look at you. You came out on top, man. You didn't have to put a number or an asterisk or a crazy character at the end or anything. That is awesome. All right, and if you guys like this show today, please, if you're watching this on Apple or Apple Podcasts or Spotify, man, I am tongue tied today. If you're watching this on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please give us a rating and review. If you're watching this on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Follow my Instagram. I'm at Michael B. Someone on Instagram, and I give my cell phone number out on every show. If you have any questions, if you have any deals in Houston you want me to look at, if there's anything we talked about that you don't understand, please shoot me a text. Don't call me. I get as many spam calls as you guys do. I won't answer. It's 832-301-9672. Shoot me a text with your questions. This was Michael Hong and Gordon Saran for the Be Someone podcast, signing off.